Yes, I have my husband and I are restoring the Wolverton house.
Okay. Where is that located?
It's just down the road on Grand River Street, sitting on the river's edge. It was built in 1851, and it was built by a lumber merchant. And my husband and I have a passion to restore historic properties.
Oh, wow.
So with this property, I have done all the research on the people that have lived there, the ancestry that goes along with each family that's been in there, as well as going out and meeting some of the relatives of Asa Wolverton.
What was the history of the Wolverton?
Asa Wolverton and his family came from Cayuga, New York in 1830s, settled in Paris, and Asa, I'm not sure whether he went back to the States or whether he met his wife here, who is the niece of Hiram Capron, who founded Paris. And they married, had no children, and they built this house, one-bedroom house, plantation-style manor, the only one of its kind left in Ontario. So the house was sitting on the edge of the river and welcomed the slaves that would come up through the Underground Railroad through Sarnia, Windsor, and so he had quite a number that we can find through the family records. We have found that there's been quite a few of the slaves that actually resided in that house. The census reports shows quite a number of the Irish immigrants that were servants there. So we've just taken on that project to figure out how the Wolvertons would have lived in that house. The original barn is still in the house, still on the property, and we just opened up the basement to restore it into a workshop. But in the meantime, it's all intact, never been touched since 1851.
And this home, does it have the historical designation to it?
It is Ontario plaqued.
And
One of 3 in Paris.
And does that make it more daunting in trying to do any restoration work?
Not really, because we have the interest to restore it. The only problem that we've had is trying to have the Ontario government recognize its importance to Ontario, and financially we're on our own. If we went in as a business, Triumph Fund would be there to help us. And it's a shame because as we have stripped the house down to its original state, we've uncovered all kinds of interesting architectural features in that house that nobody would ever know was there if they had done the project any other way than the way we attacked it. We found that in the dining room, and the dining room is one of the principal rooms, which is the whole, it's half of the floor space on the main floor. So it's 24 feet long, 11 feet wide, 14 feet wide. And the fireplace, I've actually finger stripped with my fingernails, popped paint off to the original lamp oil black paint with the gold veining, so it was a faux marble finish, and we're going to restore that, as well as the lower panels. It did have a chair rail, and the lower panels were painted crotch mahogany panels throughout the whole lower level of the room. And we uncovered that by stripping all the wallpaper down, and we've got an artist coming in to restore it. We've stripped all the paint off in the hallways and some of the other rooms and put the faux finish back on of graining. So we're getting into all the detailing of the house. And we are now working on the kitchen floor, which is the whole lower level of the house. And we uncovered, just last 2 weeks, we found what we think is Asa Wolverton's clay pipe. And actually contacted a lady who collects clay pipes, and she's one of the curators of the ROM, and identified it as being 1850 or 1880. And I told her, I said, the floor hasn't been touched since 1850, so it has to be 1850. Whatever we found was it. The floor is being covered up, and it won't. But it was funny when we put the floorboards on, just before we got to the last 4 floorboards, I threw in a new toonie, a loonie, one of the new quarters, and then bicentennial quarter, and a penny. Had to throw in a penny. And so in another 150 years, when they throw up that floor open, they're going to find these little treasures from us.
What are the dimensions of the house and also the architectural style?
It's Greek Revival Plantation.
Okay.
It has, the main manor was set up with 3 principal rooms on the main floor, the dining room, the parlor, the library. We've divided the parlor or the library in half so that we have a computer room and a main floor bathroom, which are the only conveniences for modern life in that house. Upstairs, there's the ballroom, which is the same size as the dining room. There was 1 bedroom, and then there was a trunk storage room off of the bedroom, and a bathing room. And the bathing room had a bell pull. So we knew that it was a bathing room. We could see where the potbelly stove had a stovepipe that went up through the ceiling.
Okay.
It would have been on the back of the house, and there would have been some kind of a, I've lost my word. There would have been like a tin chute out of the window where they would have thrown their gray water from the bathtub.
Wow.
And we have found pictures in the Archives Paris Museum showing the back of the house with the chute.
That's fascinating.
And a little clothesline with the clothes on it and all sorts of interesting little back pictures.
That's amazing. It sounds like, this is going to be...
It's a 10-year project, and we're in our 5th year now.
So what is in the house, say, the most
Interesting.
fascinating to you, like a period feature in there?
The whole house is, I would say, probably the kitchen with the slaves.
That back room, that parlor.
Yeah.
So that's the slave quarters, and it would be the pantry and stuff.
Yeah, when you go downstairs into the kitchen area, the original kitchen still has the 10-foot wide, 6-foot high fireplace mantle with the bake oven, and it's got a beehive bake oven. And to the one side is the dumbwaiter that still works up to the kitchen.
Those are my favorite things. That's why I asked.
But there's also the staircase comes down the center of the lower area, and behind the staircase is the servants' bedroom quarters, personal quarters, and the pantry / larder, which was divided into 2 rooms. Not a lot of people know what restoration is. They figure you just go in with a crowbar, you replace a few baseboards, you use a couple gallons of paint, and that's done. There's more to it than that. That's why it's taking us so long. It's restoring an old house that otherwise would have been condemned, because it was near that point when we bought it. So there's our story.
It's definitely great to see that there's people like yourselves that are undertaking something on your own, which is not a purely selfish thing, because you're preserving a piece of the community, and an important piece of the community.
It's a hobby for us. It's our passion. That's what we do.